Hey everyone, checking in from the offices here at Happy and Free Healing. Hope you're all doing really well. I know we're on week 3 of our office spaces being closed, and so just wanted to offer a check-in, offer some advice, some tips that we've kind of been seeing are really in common for some of the most common stressors people are checking in about here at the offices and just in general. Everyone's going through kind of the same thing right now. So just kind of a theme that keeps coming up is a theme of feeling more so stuck at home or trapped at home rather than, you know, being able to try and appreciate some of the different things that we can appreciate when we're able to be home. I say that with the caveat that not everyone does feel safe at home, and this can be a really triggering time. If you're struggling with not feeling safe at home, there still are resources available. Sojourner House in Providence, a lot of the domestic violence shelters and hotlines, those are still open right now. So just please be mindful of that. If anything's going on where you're not feeling safe for really severe reasons, that's something we can reach out to. But I'm speaking more today to this general sense of helplessness, of feeling trapped and stuck by social distancing rules, right? So for people checking in and saying this is torture, I just want to be able to go back out again, missing that sense of normalcy. That's okay. It's okay to grieve that, right? It's okay to look at this experience through the lens of the stages of grief. And some people were stuck in denial for a little while there. A lot of people were still going out thinking this can't affect me, this isn't going to affect my life. And now some people are angry, some people are bargaining, some people are going through it all at very different paces. And then getting to that phase of accepting that this is our new normal, at least for the time being, and that there is no clear timeline. We can't put a timeline on something that's so organic, that's has its own timeline, right? So the uncertainty really affects our locus of control. So basically, we either have an internal or external view of what's within our control. So an external locus of control would be life happens to me and I just have to deal with it, whereas an internal sense of control is, I'm in charge of making choices, making decisions that affect how life happens, right? So we need to find a balance of the two. If it's too internal, that can create some kind of perfectionism, standards that are too high. Certain things are not within our control, and that can become really stressful if we believe that we can control everything. But also, we don't want it to be too external. We don't want to feel like everything else outside is controlling us and that we're just powerless and kind of along for the ride, right? So how do we really focus on those factors that we do have control over? So one of the things that I'm going to start with is just using some basic cognitive behavioral therapy tools to stop negative thoughts that are coming up, to kind of refocus them, reframe them. So some of the basics we can start with is just changing the language that we're using when we're, internally talking to ourselves or talking to our families about, how we feel right now. So instead of waking up and saying, oh gosh, another day and we're just stuck at home, this is miserable, I feel trapped, waking up and saying, if it applies to you, waking up and saying, wow, I'm really grateful that I have a job where I'm able to work from home today, or that the kids are able to, complete some of their work from home, and what a unique opportunity to see what that's like, to actually have all of this uninterrupted time together. Or if you live alone, to say, okay, this is an interesting time to really sit with myself and to see who am I without all of the distractions that work and friends and relationships and running around all day usually brings. And sometimes uncomfortable emotions might come up. So how often do we reach for the quickest distraction, run out, do errands, go out with friends, throw ourselves into our work all of these crazy hours at work, and just come home to kind of eat and watch TV and sleep, right? Because it's hard to sit with those difficult emotions sometimes. So a part of this process might be coming to terms with, why is it hard for me to be at home? Why is it hard for me to be in stillness, to be present, to have these mindful moments where it's just me and my emotions? Or why is it hard for me to just be in a confined space with my roommate or partner or family, not just myself? It might bring up certain things and certain kind of shadow things that we have avoided working on, whether it's uncomfortable relationship boundaries that we don't really discuss and we just kind of avoid. So some of that shadow work might come up, and that's okay. It's definitely something that needs to come up anyway. It would have eventually come up, and now's just the time that it's really at the forefront, right? We can't avoid it. But I think what we're really working on right now is the reframing and the refocusing. So if you're in a position where it's more so just your mindset, and it's just how you're viewing it that's making it feel so difficult, waking up and taking a deep breath, committing to using that positive outlook for the day, to stopping the thoughts when they come up, to refocusing them, to reframing them. So waking up and saying, we're going to feel grateful for the day. We're going to feel positive that things are going to go well today. Let's think of things that we usually aren't able to accomplish because we're never home long enough. So are there projects we've wanted to get done? Is it just the ability to get to know each other better if we're living with other people? If it's with ourselves, wow, what are the things that, if we wished we had all the time in the world, that we always say that we would do those things? Now's the time, right? So trying to make lists of things that we can be grateful for, we can focus on, we can have as like a to-do list, so to speak, to keep us present, grounded, and mindful. Just looking at those positive sides of it. So some examples that I've kind of come up with over this week while talking with clients about this is, there are countercultural people and groups of people that choose this lifestyle, mindfully and presently choose this lifestyle. So look at people who live off the grid, people in like the Amish or Mennonite communities, people who choose to homeschool and live on farms, like sustainable living. There are people who this is their way of life because of some of the benefits of it. So again, if you're in a situation where, you have a safe home to be in, where you have enough income to get by, or you can qualify for any kind of assistance during this time, to really be able to focus in on, why do some people choose to live this way, to kind of get by with the bare necessities, to just live in a way that's more simple, that we don't need all of the extra things that society kind of tells us we need all the time, and trying to see what parts of that might resonate with you. So whether that's, I had a client that got a book about Amish society and culture and is reading that, and that's been really eye-opening for them, to say, wow, this is really interesting, to be mindful. People in that culture wake up in the morning and their plan for the day just revolves around chores, keeping the house going, nourishing their families, spending time with loved ones, and that's their whole day, that's their whole life. They really rarely leave their communities and their homes, but they find joy in that. And so it sounds really oversimplified, and it's a giant leap for us to go from modern Western life to that kind of lifestyle, but to think of one or two small ways that we can replicate that in our daily routine, I think can really bring a sense of peace and a sense of like a renewed purpose, a renewed vision for how we want to approach those days. On the other hand, taking from some of those ideas of the people who really thrive in these types of, staying at home, enjoying time with family, being okay without having distractions, thinking of the commonalities there. So people who are really feeling resilient in this situation, it's people who are spending time in nature, right? Enjoying the ability to go on a walk. If you don't have a yard, to just walk around your neighborhood, to even go for a drive, to a place that's kind of peaceful and looking out at nature. Even if you can sit by a window, open the window, get some fresh air, get some light there, maybe have a little potted plant to feel like nature is kind of coming inside. Different ways to feel more slowed down and more in tune with nature rather than with the typical rush and bustle that we're usually experiencing when we're working and running around all week. Some other ideas are hobbies. So how long has it been since you played a musical instrument or did crafts? Something as simple as crocheting or knitting. It's not super expensive. You can order some yarn and a little crochet needle, or something a little more grand if you're looking for a bigger challenge, a sewing machine, or finding an old guitar off Craigslist or something. But it's a lost art, having hobbies, having an art form that you enjoy doing, learning card games with roommates or partners or family members. It's all things that used to kind of be what we did as a culture. So not even 50 years ago, people would come home from work, and they didn't really go out. They didn't rush their kids to these extracurricular activities. They weren't always signed up for the next event at school. It was, let's play cards as a family, or let's sit at home and kind of work on a craft project or do work around the house, do gardening, things that are okay to just be with yourself, and to kind of enjoy that and to kind of explore what we can offer ourselves. It doesn't always have to be paying for a distraction. It doesn't always have to be like the next big thing. Really coming back to, simple goals, things that can help us to feel more mindful and present. And I think another big one, this will be the last one we touch on today. We can't possibly touch on all of these skills. But when we talk about kind of the mind-body-spirit connection, is so many times we focus on mind-body, and even here, right at the counseling center, we have counseling, we have yoga, we have meditation, so we're touching on the physical, mental, emotional, but the spiritual sometimes gets left out, right? So for some people, yoga, meditation, Reiki, that's the spiritual piece there. But when we're talking about time spent alone, when we're not caught up in the distractions of work, rushing around, school, relationships, all of these expectations, and we are sitting just having to be with ourselves, to be present, I think spirituality is something that's coming up for a lot of people. Also, when you think about uncertain times of crisis, times of universal stress and trauma, people are searching for what's the deeper meaning. And there's no right answer to that, but I think it's really a good time. People are finding some solace, and people are finding a sense of higher power, purpose, where they belong in this, is there a meaning to this, what meaning do they think there is, can we feel a sense of peace or safety despite the crisis and the fear that's going around, the anxiety that's going around. So it's a good time just to consider spirituality, to consider where you view yourself in the universe. Find a book, find a website, research. If you don't have a spiritual path that you identify with, it's a good time to just start figuring out what you believe and spending some time sitting with that. That's a piece of overall, a well-balanced, healthy life and a healthy mind, body, spirit, right? So it can be as simple as sitting in meditation when you first wake up in the morning, taking 5 minutes, just breathing and figuring out, okay, am I in a place where I'm thinking, I'm believing any set way of being, right? What comes to me when I first wake up and nothing else is distracting me? If you're having trouble with that, put a guided meditation on. There's a lot of free things on YouTube. Really just trying to get more in touch with who am I when I take away all of the distractions, all of the labels, all of these things I'm always running around chasing. Who am I without those, right? It can be a good time too to discuss that with the people that you're close with, the people you're living with, or if you can call people on the phone, get some ideas of how other people are kind of handling this. So just because we're social distancing doesn't mean that we have to be emotionally distancing, right? So FaceTime, phone calls, I think relationships and community can be very spiritual and very healing as well. So make sure you're checking in with people that are around you, with people that you feel close to, that make you feel safe or make you feel positive. Doesn't have to be people, it can be animals, it can be plants, right? So if you have your pets, if that's making you feel grounded, just spending more time with them, just being present with them. Gardening can be very therapeutic, being around living nature outside. But again, using that as a spiritual tool. So, when you're feeling really present, really mindful, because you are engaged with a close friend, with a pet, with nature, with yourself in meditation or prayer, touching in with that and using that to kind of feel grounded, to feel at peace, to feel safe. That's kind of what we're looking for right now, is where's our anchor in this storm? So can that be myself? Can that be my spirituality? Can that be my family? Can that be, helping other people through this time? Or can it be through getting out and going for a walk, through, art, through creating something? So using the anxiety and stress for creation, really finding at least one thing that can feel that it is a refuge, that it is, something that we can rely on and lean on. But also, how do we maybe use this as a time to better ourselves and to make sustainable changes? Maybe we find certain elements through this journey that we want to maintain. Things are slowed down, things are more simple, we're more in touch with our spirituality, with our friends or with our family, and how do we carry that on? So if it wasn't because we were forced to do it, we might never have another opportunity that we would have had to explore these things. And so finding those positives, finding those strengths, and then really sitting with that and saying, how is this going to serve me going forward? So even if life goes back to normal in a couple of weeks, maybe I want to take some elements of this and keep doing it. So, sit with that a little, think about it, maybe journal about it, set up some goals for yourself. But like I said earlier, also allow yourself to grieve that it is a new normal. We're not at the same pace we usually are. We've had to give up things that we do love, and that's okay to be sad about that. But what can we focus on that's positive? How do we reframe it when those thoughts come up? So instead of, another day stuck at home, it's, wow, okay, it's a day where maybe I can just focus on, what if I just focus on my family or my loved ones today and being grateful that I'm home with them? Or, okay, I woke up and the sun is shining, and so maybe I can go for a walk today and just get some fresh air, ground into that and feel at least grateful that I'm able to do that today. Or I've always wanted to learn, how to knit something, and I can go online and I probably have some yarn that my grandma gave me in a box somewhere, and let's see if I can figure this out. Little simple things just to feel safe and grounded in the moment. So, we are still open here at the office, so we're doing all telehealth. No clients are coming in, just to keep you guys safe, to keep us safe. But we're also doing intake, so if you're a current client, we can make an appointment for you to do telehealth with our therapists. If you need to make an intake appointment, you definitely can reach out to us and we'll make a new appointment for you if you need it. The yoga studio is closed, but we're going to be streaming hopefully some meditation, some yoga classes, so that you guys can keep up with that as well. But I hope you're all staying safe and healthy, and I really am sending you a lot of love and light from here at the office. Is it happy and free? All right, have a great day, guys. Bye.